Got it. And then record.
We are live.
And we're live, and now we gotta record. Hold on. Hi, everybody on Facebook.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, everyone.
There it is. We are recording on the cloud.
Okay, ready for the song?
To the CodPast podcast, where your fishy past hooks your brilliant future. With Dr. Deborah, Laura, and Dr. Trish.
And special guest, Ellie.
Special guest Ellie is here.
Happy to be here.
I know it. We're so excited. So, Dr. Trish, do you want to start us off by, or would you like me to start off and introduce Ellie, and then we're going to go to a fishy joke. Sometimes Dr. Trish will ask me, I'm going to ask Dr. Trish this week. Dr. Trish, why do we call it our fishy past?
Well, that's really your department to always explain this, but I do love it. It caught me because when these two girls, Laura and Dr. Deborah, first said, hey, we're going to do this CodPast together. And I said, well, I'm not going to because I've got too much to do. And they said, no, you are going to. It's about your fishy past hooking your brilliant future. And I said, well, I definitely have one or many of those. And so it started that way. And we make fun of people's past instead of, you know, oh, that's so terrible. I'm so sorry. Oh, that must have been hard. You know, it's like, no, it got me to now. And
Right.
now that's how I was able to come to now. And that kind of helps me when I'm in a really bad place, which has been going on kind of a lot this week. It is to go, you know, this is just one more stepping stone to where I'm headed. And when you do that, your life starts to be different. And I'll tell you, we've all proven it, all four of us in the last couple of months. Holy moly. We've done it a lot.
A little bit, huh?
Definitely. And Laura took it a further step by saying that one of her exercises or part of her philosophy is we look at our past, our fishy past, and we audition. What do we want to bring forward into our future? And what do we decide we've already spent enough time and energy on? And then we, you know, it's really kind of cool because there are a lot of things in your past that you might want to bring forward. So that's part of that. Well, today we have a special guest, a very special guest. She is our bright and bubbly, good friend, Ellie Meadows. And she is, we met through Young Living Oils, Jack Canfield's team, and she has fast become just a great friend, but also somebody that really you can learn from. She's super brilliant, super smart. She's emotionally intelligent. She's cute as a button. And
she under promises and over delivers, which is my favorite thing about everybody.
And over delivers. Yes, she
As
does.
opposed to the opposite people who always over promise and always under deliver.
Yes, we are not really into the under deliverers because get this, it's
we're
one
not.
life.
We want them out of our lives. The under deliverers go out, get out.
That's right. We have one life. It's short, and we want to be mountaintop, rest, you know, recover, mountaintop. So no under deliverers. I like that. We might even put that on our logo with
on our t-shirt.
On our t-shirts.
No
under deliverers.
No.
Oh, I like that. We'll get that for
oh my God. Wait a minute.
Store.
Utters. Deliver utters. Wait a minute.
No utter deliverers. Yeah.
We can work a fish like no bottom feeders or something. Like we can.
That's
work
right.
A fish
I like that a lot.
I see it coming already. It's coming in already.
Oh, I like it. No
So
bottom.
Ellie Meadows is going to start us off with a fishy joke, and then she's got a life story that's very, very amazing and interesting. And you're going to really enjoy this hour a lot. We're going to have great conversations. And Ellie, welcome. And let's hear your fishy joke. or
So
joke.
I told you ladies that I just had this idea about 15 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, of course I need to come with a fishy joke. Like, who do I know that's qualified for just terrible, like dad joke level, just ridiculousness? And so I found my husband. I'm like, I need just a really bad fish joke. I said, if it's a cod joke, it's even better. And he sent me this and I'm like, oh, I'm so mad, but yeah, I'm going to share it. So it's a fake news headline. Just been assaulted in a health food shop. Someone threw a massive bottle of cod liver oil tablets at me. Fortunately, I only suffered super fish oil injuries.
Oh, I
Oh,
think
that's a
that's
good one. We
phenomenal.
like that
That's
one.
Maybe the
excellent.
worst joke we've ever told.
I think it was like one of the best.
I do
Super. I'm like,
too.
oh, I'm so mad right now. I'm so mad at that joke, but it's hilarious. Super fish oil injuries. Get it? So that's
could
my
actually
fishy
be part of our
joke.
product
I
line
think
too, super fish oil.
That's a good joke.
Yeah, no super fish oil people.
That's
I'm
right.
out. The good kind of super
No,
fish oil,
no
not the bad.
super fish oil people.
See?
No.
We got a
super
million
fish
of those t-shirts.
Yeah,
Yeah, we gotta have a
ladies.
bunch.
It'll
We've
be
got
this
to.
little logo, my tsunami logo that I'm wearing today. Oh,
There's
and
a
Trish
whole-
has to show her earrings before I get going.
Oh yeah.
That's my last requirement. These are super special earrings that I made for
Oh,
my
they're beautiful.
super bestie Trish.
Lift
I
up a
love
little.
She
There
made
you
them.
go.
Can you see their koi fish?
Yeah, they're
Gorgeous.
beautiful, just like you, Trish. You
Aw,
got koi
mwah,
fish
mwah,
and you
mwah.
got frogs around your neck. You're all set.
I love that.
I'm doing all that I can for bringing in everything that we want.
Right.
And this is a
Right.
limited edition from the James
Yes, tell
Bond
me.
movie Octopussy.
What is it?
I
An
love it.
octopus?
Yeah, it is. Isn't it
What is
cool?
it, Deborah?
That's an octopus?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's
Wow.
It
Is
almost
that-
looks like a stylized pea as well.
That's what I was thinking. Like you
Yeah.
got like
Is there?
I won't say what the P's for, but okay. So I've
No,
never
I-
seen Octopussy.
Are
Ellie,
those diamonds? Are those
yes,
diamonds?
yes.
Oh,
Oh,
my
so
god.
that wasn't a cheapy necklace.
So I'm the
No.
one person not wearing cool jewelry. Well,
I
wear cool
want
jewelry
one of
today, but-
those.
Okay, we'll get you one.
Okay, give me a limited edition necklace, please.
I
So
need
Ellie, I'm very interested in your sentence that led us to your bio, where the miracle sentence. And do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes. So I was on an international radio show, and it's actually a cousin of mine who runs the show, and she's amazing. It's called the Vitality Health Show. It's on the Voice America Network. It's an international network. And it's not a podcast, it's an actual radio show. And she asked me to come on as a guest of hers. And it's been an interesting about year and a half in my life, but I've had to really push through, feeling as though maybe my story wasn't important enough to spend time telling people. Not that I was afraid to tell people my story. I didn't really see the value in it. And then when she asked me to be on her show, I'm like, wow, what's so interesting about my story? She's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, all right, I guess I'm interesting. So I decided to go on her show. So she's known me for the 39 years I've been alive because she's my cousin. But I'm like, Stephanie, I don't even know how to begin describing where I'm at. And this was 6 months ago, and I've lived 10
Wow.
lifetimes since then. So I just kind of told her, and I shortened my bio as much as I could, but it said, her life got derailed overnight. Healing miracles saved her. So that is the tagline that they wrote based on what I'd sent over. The train analogy, the derail, is something that I had shared with her because that's how I really felt. So if you guys would like, I'll kind of launch into the quickest version of this story that I can tell, and that will
Yes,
tell you where
ma'am.
this kind of derailed thing came up, right? So, and I'll share that link in the comments as well if people want to go listen to that show either. So if you go back to about 4 years ago, yeah, it was 2018. Trish and I have actually had some pretty crazy conversations about this. My life was on an incredible trajectory. I was a super successful hotel executive. I've been successful my whole life. That's also in my bio. I'm kind of your classic like overachiever kind of thing. It's just who I am. It's not for any purpose. And so
You're
Graduated
among
with-
friends.
Yeah, I know. Look who I'm talking to. We are the overachievers, right? And so I was a classic overachiever. I graduated with honors. I graduated early. I went straight to college, had a really cool career, really successful hospitality career for 17 years. Loved it. I have a whole super crazy story about how I actually had a huge life change and decided to make a career change from hospitality, where I was at the top of my game. I have no issue saying that. And I went over to culinary. I made this huge shift and I became a chef. And I was super successful really quickly. And I was actually at the point, I kid you not, where I was working with multiple agents to negotiate shows on like Food Network and stuff. This is how big things were getting for me. This is back about 4 years ago. So my life could not have had better momentum. I was engaged. I was getting married, having a destination wedding that year. It was like, my life was perfect. And then there was a pretty tragic series of circumstances that I won't get into right now. Let's just say some pretty traumatic things happened in my life in very quick succession. Kind of the most major one was actually almost exactly, what's today, the 22nd or the 23rd? It was like 4 years ago, yesterday or today. And when I say my life got derailed, if you think about the amount of momentum it takes to get a train going, that weight, how much pull, this train was chugging at 1,000 miles an hour, and it's like it got knocked off. So I crashed with the same amount of momentum that I was bringing in, which was a freight train. So I went from top of the world to, I could not have bottomed out any further than I did, short of choosing to take my own life. That's really how bad it was. So what that culminated in was, for about 15 months, I went into a really, really dark depression. I was completely isolated, except for my husband, who literally like helped save my life and keep me alive. It was right when COVID hit, so it was a really convenient time to go into hiding. And I'm the kind of person that never wants anyone to worry about me, never wants anyone to know I'm suffering, because I don't want them to lose hope in me. And then because I'm a beacon of light for a lot of people. So most of my close family and friends did not know what was going on. It was purposeful. So for about 15 months, I had severe insomnia that had been going for about 2 years leading into my depression, which I'm sure kind of built onto it. I mean, severe, not sleeping through the night for 3.5 years. It's a miracle that I'm alive. I was on 20 milligrams of Ambien, which will like tranquilize a rhinoceros. I was a severe alcoholic, literally self-medicated. It's the only thing that helped me sleep. It was so bad. My own medical doctor, the last time I saw him, because I was seeing a therapist, I was seeing a hypnotherapist, I was seeing a medical doctor, probably 5 or 6. The last time I saw my medical doctor, he was in tears and he said, "I am so sorry I failed you. Please promise me when you find the cure to what you're going through, you need to tell me." I was out of options. It was so dark and I just felt totally hopeless. I'm like, okay, what came to my mind is, I'm getting messages that if I don't figure this out, it won't get figured out. I will choose to not be here anymore.
Well, Ellie, excuse me for interrupting, but aren't you also, didn't you have a degree in psychology? So
I graduated with honors with a psych degree.
and so it was even more piled up than that, because not only was all this stuff happening, but you also probably, I'm asking a question, but I would think you would go, I know how to do this. Like I can
fix this.
And yet it wasn't working, right? Is that correct?
It wasn't working. Everything that should have worked wasn't working. And it wasn't that I wasn't trying the right things. It was what I figured out eventually, my trauma, which I didn't even realize I had, which is now kind of really dumb if I tell you all the stuff I went through. I had developed, kind of overdeveloped, really strong defense mechanisms. So all these traumatic events I had been through in my life, including my own, a teenage pregnancy. I had a child at 15, the trauma that went along with that, emotionally. I actually died of a birth complication a month after my child was born, I physically died and was resuscitated. That was an interesting experience. I'm the survivor of domestic abuse, a very, very severe domestic abuse incident that I barely escaped with my life. But in my mind, and keep in mind also, I've lost all of my grandparents, all of my uncles. Like, I've been through a shit ton of trauma. I just didn't call it trauma because I'm like, oh, I dealt with that. Like, I'm fine. I didn't deal with it. I shoved it down so far that.
And Ellie, I'm going to keep on because some of this stuff is so fascinating. You also were raised in an LDS family, right? So
Yes.
there was no drinking or anything the way you guys were brought up, correct?
Correct.
And so that was even another little piece that said, and you're supposed to do this, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, so it was, I got a message, I really did, that if I don't figure this out, I won't survive. Because I was doing the right things, I had the right people, but it wasn't working. And so I'm like, okay, so this is fun. I'm literally at the most miserable point in my life, and I just got a message that if you don't figure this out, you're gonna die, essentially. I'm like, well, that's fun. And then my dad died. And so that's really the only time I left my home in about 15 months was when my dad passed away, and being there for my family, because my parents were together for 45 years and they took it really hard, and his death was very unexpected. So anyways, I was about as bottomed out as you could get. And one day I had this gives a really good idea of where I was at. I've been through some challenging things in my life, like I've told you, death, domestic abuse. I've lost friends, I've lost family members, stuff that would send a normal person into a pretty bad place. And that a lot of people would maybe consider, like, have suicidal ideation around it. But I'm like, oh no, well, one, I'm cool. Like, I totally processed all of it. But really, if those thoughts ever even started to creep in, I would never do that. I would never do that to my family. I would never do that to my loved ones. I would never do that to my child. At my lowest point, and here's what's so sad, is I actually kind of was like, had this relief for the first time in about 15 months is, if I choose to take my own life now, I think people will at least understand. And I think they're legitimately better off without me at this point. So for the first time in my life, I had this reprieve of, it's okay, no one needs you anymore because you're essentially worthless at this point. Of course, this is not coming from a single person in my life because no one even knows what I'm doing, and except Mason, and it's definitely not coming from my husband. It's all me, like, okay, I know they'll miss you, but they'll get over it and they'll be better. And so at the time, I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I probably should try to get some help because I'm not okay being at this place. Even at that dark place, I knew. And then I think that was kind of my darkest point, my dark night of the soul. And I told my husband, I said, I know, even at my darkest point, I said, I know I'm being put through all of this for a reason. It better be a damn good reason. A damn good reason. And then that's when everything kind of changed for me. So the next day, around that time, I mean, this was bottomed out. And keep in mind, this was just February of last year. This is about 16 months ago, 15 months ago, actually. It's very recent. All I did was drink to fall asleep, wake up. If my husband was there, great. If not, I'd scroll on Facebook, repeat. That was my cycle. All I could do is drink and fall asleep. All I could do was escape. And I knew I was stuck in a cycle, but no one could help me. No one. I was stuck. I was trapped. And I also got an epiphany around that same time that I'll share with you because I'm being told to. I do a lot of humanitarian work. That is my number one thing that I do, is humanitarian work. And around that same time, I got this prompting that I've spent probably about the last 7 years of my life very devoted to charities that help people in kind of the most like third world, poverty situations where it's like life and death all day, every day. Like there's nothing more noble I can do than help save someone's life, right? So I took the time to do that. I had this epiphany when I was at my really dark point. It like took over my whole body. Was there's people who are living through things worse than death that would welcome death. Perhaps you can shift your focus to helping those people. And that's when my mentality started to shift before I even knew any of this was coming, was maybe you need to, when I refer to that, I'm referring to mostly like sex trafficking. I mean, these really extreme situations, child-headed homes, all this kind of stuff. So anyways, I was getting all these epiphanies. It's like, yeah, if I survive long enough, maybe some neat stuff will come out of it, but we're pretty touch and go at this point. So fast forward to February 26th of last year. So it was about a year and a half of a pretty severe depression. I'm on Facebook, I'm doing my day drinking, like not kill myself until my husband gets home. That was my routine. I'm not trying to make light of it. That was my routine. Like brush your teeth if you feel like it. Do I have enough SoCo to make a day drink? Okay, Mason can bring me some more on my way home. I'm probably being way too transparent, but anyway, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and keep in mind, this friend, who's now one of my dearest friends, was a colleague I had met twice, like 3 or 4 years ago via another friend. Very, very tertiary contact. But I always adored her. She posted something on her Facebook and said, it was something about emotional healing. I don't even remember what she posted, but I got a prompting. She may be able to help you, like just reach out. And she, I think, is the first person I told that I was having a really dark time. 15 months later, I told a practical stranger. I said, hey, I don't really need to get into it, but I'm not in a great place right now. But keep in mind, the last time she's seen me, it's like Ellie, Food Network star, newlywed, top of the world. She's like, the fuck happened? Sorry. What the heck happened? And
there's no beeping here. We don't beep.
This is me holding way back. So my friend was like, oh my goodness, thank you for reaching out. I am so sorry you're going through this. There is help for you. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of at options. I'm open to anything. So she said, you're going to want to talk to a friend of mine, or my husband, her husband. His name's Ryan. You're going to want to talk to him. He's kind of like a healer, and they won't accept that title, but that's the way I refer to them as. He's a healing facilitator. He can help you. Never met this guy before. I'd only met her twice, but I'm like, sure, why not? I'm out of options. I literally have nothing to lose. So I finally spoke to him about 36 hours later on a Saturday. And he said, some good friends of mine, Scott and Lorraine Wright, and I have this healing modality container that we've created in our home, like physically built onto their home, a combination of, aromatherapy, sound therapy, plant medicines, legal ones, don't freak out about the plant medicines, an immersive therapeutic experience. So what Ryan told me is, it'll be like 30 years of talk therapy in a couple of hours. I said, I'll see you there. The next day, I'm in this stranger's home. This stranger's home. I've never met these 3 people in my life. And I'm like, hello, strangers. And I just walks in, and I'm like, since then, imagine me 50 pounds. I have literally lost 50 pounds. This was last year. I had packed on so much weight as protection. And because I didn't move and I drank myself to death for like 15 months, I was miserable. Like I looked like crap. I just was miserable. And they just welcomed me, and they brought me into this container. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Let's see if this works. All this woo-woo stuff that I've heard about that I've never taken seriously in my life. Yeah, oils, that's going to do stuff. Ooh, sound. I was a total dick about it, right? But that's where I was. And they brought me in anyway. I'm like, couldn't hurt. So about maybe 20, 30 minutes into this container, have you guys seen Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Movie? Mm-hmm. So Laura, we need to talk. It's my favorite movie, but the scene where Andy's breaking out of prison and he busts open that sewage pipe and it comes flying up so he can escape from prison, that was my emotions. The combination of like it's a tea plus this oil plus this music plus this blah plus this crystals. I mean, it was a gorgeous, magical container. It broke the dam open.
Well, also, I want to just say you were embraced with a lot of love and belief. And I think that's the context is all of it. You know, you felt safe, you felt believed, and you felt heard. And that's really unusual for a context of healing. I mean, you would think that everybody would have those things in place, but those are like the last things that come into play. And yet I think that is part of the floodgates, because I mean, you know, we have it happen to us every day almost. Okay, sorry, Ellie. I just keep adding to your story.
Don't apologize at all. I love it. Like, this is the first time you guys are even hearing the most of this whole story. So it hit so hard that I literally metaphysically traveled to hell and back for about 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And in this container, it's pretty common, like you're laying down, because if you're in that submissive position, that's a surrender. So the right things can happen. And they were treating me with these sound wands that our friend literally invented. This other friend named Scott Webb, who's a genius, they invented these healing tools. So it's this very customized experience. But what happened, guys, is about 20, 30 minutes into it, I got my body started to purge. Purge AF. I purged so hard. So I was in the bathroom of their home. I was the only person that left the room. I was in the bathroom physically vomiting and hysterically crying, hysterically, for about 2.5 hours. It hit so hard. But my dad's death, trauma from my childhood, all the death I dealt with during my life, all the violence I dealt with during my life, all this abuse, it all processed through my body in like about 2.5 hours. And so these people who've never met me are standing at the door of the bathroom, speaking to me, holding my hand, saying, this is probably terrifying, but you're doing it exactly right. And they are the sweetest people in the world. And I still joke about this with them. I'm hysterical. They don't know me. They don't know I'm not some crazy person that doesn't do this all the time. They don't know me at all. And so I'm trying to, through my own hysterical vomiting, crying, I'm trying to make them feel better so that they don't feel bad that I'm freaking out. Essentially, it was just that effective. And so I'm like, it's okay, I'm okay, it's what I need. I'm hysterical. And they're like, I think she's okay. We're gonna give her some space. And so I remember, so Trish, exactly what you said about that safe, caring, loving container. One of the funniest thoughts I had a funny thought now that I talk about it after the fact is, I'm literally experiencing hell. I traveled there and spent some time there. But I was still cognizant, because my brain is crazy and my body, I'm just a weird person that doesn't react the same to anything, just a phenomenon about me. So I was toggling kind of both existences at once, this kind of metaphysical and this physical. And so I remember thinking very logically, these people seem really nice, and I wonder how they're going to take it when I tell them I can't ever leave this bathroom. I wasn't joking. I've never felt this safe, but not just in this house. I cannot leave this bathroom because this is the first time I've ever felt fully safe in my life.
Wow.
And I hope they don't call the police on me, and they'll eventually understand. These are the thoughts that I was having as I'm in the bathroom having this experience. I'm still like being all polite and shit in my brain. And Ryan and I had a funny talk about it afterwards. The guy who brought me in, my friend's husband. And he said, one, I've never seen anyone react that way to this ceremony except me, referring to himself. But he said, that hit you so hard. You were so ready. And we usually have to do a lot of work to get someone to that point where they just bust wide open. So it was just that little, they lined it all up. And it was all the woo-woo stuff that doesn't work, that hippies use. And I'm an American white citizen. I definitely grew up in this Western medicine environment. And all the hippies and the drugs and the this, and I'm super heavily programmed. And now I've spent about 16 months releasing programming and aligning with more authenticity. And I'm not even remotely the same person I was even 6 months ago, let alone a year ago, let alone, 14 months ago or 16 months ago when this whole thing started. And so my healing part was pretty rapid, and we're always healing, right? We're always this onion. We're always healing. You cannot complete that process. That's not a scary thing. That's a beautiful thing because it's a beautiful process. But I'd say the first few sessions I went through were very much like releasing trauma, releasing trauma, releasing trauma. And then after that, it was healing and actually ascending and getting a clear idea of who I am, aligning my energy centers, becoming an open vessel. So Ryan, Scott, Ray, and Ryan's wife, Christy, I credit with literally saving my life, because they said, it wasn't us, you did the work. It's like, yeah, I know, guys, but let me say thank you. I don't think I would have literally survived without them. And of course, they do this all day, every day for their people. And that's where I was introduced to the oils, because they literally, the way they work, I think it's like, oh, they smell nice and they're woo-woo things. And it's this pyramid scheme from Utah County. I mean, that's what everyone thinks about essential oils, right? And I lived in the capital of that, literally. And it's like, no, these are sacred oils with certain physical qualities that can impact your freaking brain and help you heal from trauma, not only decades old, hundreds of years old, because I've been doing generational healing as well. So I've been healing both sides of my family all the way back as far as I can go. And it's been crazy. So now I've kind of hit the stride of like deep, dark night of the soul. And then I've been healing. And now it's just like, phew.
Ellie, I wanna freeze something you just said, because it's
Please.
really, really important for people to hear this, and for people that are listening to the re-recording of this. You just said you were healing both ancestral, mom and dad and all of that.
Mhm.
And a lot of people think that is new age. Like, they've heard of Native Americans healing ancestors, and they've heard of Mormons healing ancestors, right? By getting baptized. So to a lot of people, they think, well, that's kind of a made up thing. It's not real. It's spiritual. It doesn't have any scientific.
It's a concept. Yeah.
But I have the PhD in this, and I worked really hard to find enough data about this. But molecules of emotion are physical molecules that are carried through DNA. So if your great-great-grandfather got scared because somebody got killed in front of him or something like that, he can have an imprint to that fear that doesn't even make sense to him, let alone 5 generations down. You get that imprint of fear, and all of a sudden you see a red coat on somebody and you are terrified, and you don't know why. And a lot of, because of our psychology and everything has been set up to say, well, there must be something wrong with you, right? We're going to give you this medicine because there's something wrong with you. And so we've had this whole society, which, I mean, the whole thing needs to be fixed. We need to erase and start over, but
Which
we are doing it. But this thing, that people need to realize that some of their fear has nothing to do with them. It's not from this lifetime. It's not even from anybody they even remember, maybe. And that these fears that happen are real physical manifestations of molecules being brought right to the top of your head, and your thought process and your eye process of your brains starts to interpret stuff that it has nothing to do with reality. You know, you're starting to say, well, I probably was depressed a lot when I was little. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with this. And once people understand that sometimes their feelings are just crazy, doesn't have anything to do with anything that makes sense, then they can start to heal those, because with the oils, you can heal those molecules if you can bring them up, because they're big and they're dirty and they're old. And, you know, these molecules of emotion, I mean, this is not the right thing, but let's just say they're like a dirty snowball, and they're this big compared to positive emotions you actually want and created in this lifetime. They're pinpoints compared to that, pinpoints. And so there's a way to heal, and it is using the oils, it is using sound, it's a lot of things that you were talking about. But people need to really understand that when you say you're healing ancestral stuff, this is real, and we all are responsible to our ancestors to help them heal and to be done. And there is a lot of biblical references that prove this point, that you need to heal your ancestors, but it heals you. And then you stop taking it to the next child. All right. So that's
you're breaking the chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking that chain of that generational trauma. And this was a new concept to me. And another really close friend of mine and mentor that I will introduce all of you to, her name's Mary Crafts, and she means more to me than pretty much anyone in the world. I mean, so do you guys, but she's way up there. She has a really good podcast called Crafting a Meaningful Life.
Oh.
And she probably, last I checked, she had about 25,000 followers weekly. She will change your life. So the first time I ever heard about this was her podcast last year, around the time that I was going through my healing. And for me to not know about it, someone who has a psychology degree, but the reason someone with a psychology degree grew up in mainstream education America is that a healed person is a very bad customer. And so the whole medical industry is based on making people sick and then selling them their own medicine. And we know it, but people don't want to fight it. They don't care enough to fight it. And it's just like, I'm a fighter, bring it on. I'm going to take this on, because I know, because I'm here to heal. We're here to heal. But if we don't spread this message, and one of the biggest things I wanted to share today, because if I've learned 7 billion lessons in the last probably month, but especially 16 months. And if there's one of the top, maybe 3 things I've learned, we need to share our stories. None of this matters if we're not sharing our stories. If we cannot access the vulnerability, if we cannot have the courage to tell these stories, or like, you guys know a little bit about Gary Lee Price, who just released his memoirs, and Jeff Olson, who's a good friend of mine, who had this amazing near-death experience that killed half his family. Traumatic stuff. If we're not sharing the stories, we're keeping ourselves chained up, guys. Let's stick with this chain analogy. We have the keys to unlock each other's chains, but we need each other to do it. We need to hand each other the keys. I'm the only one that can take that key from you and unlock myself, but you might have my key, and I may have Laura's key, and Laura has Trisha's key, and Trish has Deborah's key. Does that make sense? And the key analogy, so Trish and I now, it's our little thing, we talk about our next tattoos, right? And I forced Trish to get a tattoo, is like she tells everybody, and I'm totally fine with that. So mine are all very symbolic. This is a really pretty arrow. This is the symbol for unconditional love. But now I'm talking all my friends into, including you guys. I want to get like a cool, like, skeleton key, because we're unlocking each other's stories. And you would not believe the experiences I've had this year, which I'm happy to share when there's more time, about leaning into vulnerability. and then just being blown away by what came out of it. Unbelievable stuff. And if I say something's unbelievable based on what I've seen in the last 16 months, it's pretty hard to believe, but we've figured it out. We've already figured it out. We're done with this stuff. This is this revolution. This is the ascension. We're here. We're doing it. We're doing it by sharing each other's stories, letting people know. Because how many people would be like, I was a severe alcoholic for 15 months and all I did was day drink and fall asleep. Most people, that like be really hard for them to tell that story. And it was hard for me until the second. This goes back to the Viktor Frankl thing. When I identified the meaning in my suffering, the fear went away. It was not, and I wasn't even that fearful. I told you I didn't see the value. Once I saw the value, that's when I'm like, I'll tell my story to anybody. I ain't got no problems.
Well, you know, Ellie, that bringing up, I'm assuming you're talking about Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Amazing book. And it
Thank
really,
you for clarifying.
yes, but it really shifted a paradigm for me. But we were talking earlier, when you talked about handing the key to somebody that you really, really trust and being vulnerable, it's something that we three chose to do over this last year with each other. And we have, it has ascended us to a point where we feel seen, heard, loved, supported in ways that we individually have never been before. And you're right about it too. You know, it may be Trish unlocked this much, or you unlock this much, or Laura unlocked something in you. But that I love that analogy. I think it's really great. One thing that Trish and I were talking about was about how society, especially with smart people, how they try to dumb us down, and especially smart little boys that are wiggly and smart, and their brains are just really fast, and you know that they have to slow you down and calm you down, and they're just getting one great idea after another, and society doesn't know what to do with these smart little boys and girls. And so they begin to shame them, or they begin to put them on medication, or they begin to say, you don't fit in. And so they develop depression. And it's almost a byproduct of just not being able to be vulnerable and be yourself in society. So I think that the way you talked about some of the ways of coping is just in the beginning is identifying it. And I forgot, maybe Laura said something. What'd you say? Name it to?
I say name it to tame it. You have to find out what that part of you you are taming. You know, what is it? Identify. And I'll just go a little step further, because I've been working on my own story, Ellie. And you're right. It's not the stories of, you know, I climbed this mountain and I was this and I did that. And those aren't the stories. People admire you for it, but they don't see themselves in it. What they see when you tell a vulnerable story, like I was drinking for 15 months. I mean, that's part of my story too, where it's my basement story, which I don't know if you ever heard that story, and where I also laid down and just asked God to take me. I knew I wouldn't do that myself, but that was a very low moment. And then it was only up from there. But it's interesting, Ellie, because when you were telling the story, and I didn't know your story, and you said someone had posted something, I was thinking, oh my God, it was Christy. Because she helped me with one of my patterns with Vibonics. And actually she was like, what, our third guest, I think. Christy
was one of the first. Sorry, let me pop in because this is so cool how this is full circle. So I was just barely getting to know this group. I barely even knew Trish. I think we had just become Facebook friends. This was months ago. And I was driving. It was around the time I was moving. I can't even remember what date it was. And I was in my car and I got a Facebook Live notification. It was like, Dr. Trish Sanders is live in the CodPast. I'm like, oh yeah, Trish is awesome. And then it's like, her guest is Christy Holt. I'm like, you're effing kidding me. So that's the first ever CodPast I listened to, which literally found me in the car. And when I'm driving, I'm always multitasking. that's when I do my work, because I'm driving a lot. It was, no, you're not. You're going to stop the next 2 hours, 2.5 hours probably. It was just all you guys and Christy. Same freaking Christy. Yes, exactly. And she's incredible. And thank you, because there's so much flying through my mind right
Christy
now.
Holt's
Christy Holt's
business, Vibonics.
Yeah.
Her business is amazing. All
And I
about
found-
vibration and alignment and stuff. And I know that much, and I want to learn more. She's a world changer. I mean, she changed my life. She saved my life.
And I met her through Lorraine. So I went the opposite way. I met Lorraine through Trish, and then I met Christy through Lorraine. And that's it. It's kind of like you're saying, everybody has that key, right? Like this is the way I see it. When you make a decision, you want to change a pattern, or you know what? I feel like crap. I never want to feel like that. This has happened. I see this as a pattern in my life. I never want to feel like this. When you make that decision, the people and their keys come into your life, and you just need to do the work. They're there for you. It's not always easy. Sometimes it takes longer, but just explore it, because then you start peeling that layer of the onion, and you become the, what do we call it? It's not a change maker. It's like a pattern changer. What do we call it, Deborah? Do you remember? It's like a generational changer. What do we call it?
Well, we break generational curses.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, I told Laura, I said, I hate that word pattern. We keep saying pattern. So
You
now we
hate
call
that
it
word.
patty earn. I'm going to
Patty
break
earn.
this
That was-
patty earn.
I
And you know,
twisted it.
I think too, Ellie, I'm like, I just want to hold you in my arms right now, because yeah, but I'm so happy that we get to have the privilege of having you in our lives, and also look forward to so much adventure, so much discovery, and so much, like, what I love is if we're somewhere and then it's like, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Or you're having some type of amazing experience with people you trust, which is right here on this call. But you know, I trust a lot of people, but I also say you are the 5 people that surround you. And I've got 2 openings. And you know, I do. I have other rings of people that are very important to me, but the people in my inner circle are, you know, I've dwindled it down. So I really appreciate your honesty, your vulnerability, your authenticity, because it's going to help people, and it's also going to help you. The more open I can be, and the more I can be myself. I have never felt more myself and more authentic in my life. And it's a
Right.
lot of hard work, you know, it's hard work, but it's also just surrender. And it's also just living in
Oh,
the
it's
now.
surrender. That's one of the most difficult things for any of
Right.
us to learn. And I fought that hard. I fought it hard. That's the programming again. But when I refer to kind of my 3, healers, the orig, my team, like, let's say that, like, there's the team that physically saved my life when I died when I was 16. So this is my metaphysical team that came in. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought, because when I even start
We were
talking
talking about
the-
surrender.
Oh yes, so thank you. So I'm kind of a fighter. I'm also, as Trish doesn't even, I don't know if she remembers saying this, but she was saying how she's a renegade, but she's a thoughtful renegade. And she said this on the call like a month ago. I'm like, that's effing adorable. And that describes Trish. She's a thoughtful renegade. So when I entered this healing process, they knew they had a pretty unique, let's say, student on their hands, because I don't respond to things the way other people do. And so when I was having these conversations with Ryan, he's just like, okay, like, where you went, people don't go this way. Like, I've seen it once and it was me. This is weird. I'm like, this makes sense. And he also mentioned to me that as I was in this bathroom isolated at their home, going back to that first experience, other people were having kind of less extreme but similar responses. A lot of crying, a lot of just like really strong emotions. And he said, you were the only one that felt the need to remove yourself from the room. because you felt you were being disruptive. He said, that's probably a reason you're in the bathroom vomiting and crying because you feel like you're always the one that has to put your needs last.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, you kind of nailed me there. So they really had to put that mirror up in front of me. They put that up for the first time in my life. And Scott and Ray, I believe, are writing a book called Are You My Mirror? That's the married couple. And they put that mirror up where it's like, clearly what you think is going to work isn't working for you. So they forced me to do certain things. And one of the biggest ones was surrender. You got to surrender. You got to, the only way to is through. You've got to let it release. So release, I thought I had it here earlier. I've got my big old bag of oils right next to me. Release is one of my favorite oils. They're like release and clear, essentially, which are kind of similar. So there's clarity oil and the release oil. They're like, so at first, when I first started this healing process, my goal was, I want my old life back. Because who wouldn't? Like, my life was amazing. My life was like the dream life, literally dream. Like, you guys seen pictures from my wedding? It's like a dream wedding.
So
And
real quick, yes, I saw your pictures, but real quick, I was going to ask you this question earlier. So your life was a dream before, was it really? Or did you have all these underlying things still that were in your caboose on your train? I mean, I don't, you know what I say? I know that there were a lot of traumas that followed and a lot of loss and things like that.
I have the same question.
That was my question. So now that you're talking about that, talk about your dream life and then.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I have a better understanding of it now. And it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine recently. She might be on this call. Her name's Angie Wheeler. She's someone who's also one of my very special tribe members. She's one of the people who passed my Muniki shaman rights on to me with Jeff Olson. And I was telling her my story, and not a lot of people know to the depth that we've explored on this call. And she's like, oh, were you really just upset? Did you go into a depression because things didn't work out that you thought were going to work out, like the marriage and the Food Network and all this kind of stuff? I said, no, that was all there. I crashed. So that could happen today if I wanted it to. I crashed and I became totally dysfunctional. And what I realized was all of the trauma, first of all, as dumb as it is, I did not consider myself anyone who would experience trauma in their life. I did not define myself that way. I'm like, I've never been sexually assaulted and I didn't grow up in a third world country. That was my idea of trauma. And my parents are happily married. So I can't have any trauma, right? And I'm engaged, so that means I don't have any trauma. I really thought I had healed through it. I had just repressed it. So it was I think my crash, my train wreck, if you will, was the 38 years of trauma that I endured and muffled and buried in order to be really successful. But it was like, you can't outrun it forever. Mm-hmm. And I also believe that I'm meant to learn some pretty big lessons in this life. So I'm by default, and I see this in this group. How many people in this group has had their freaking house burned down and all this crazy like biblical shit that Laura's had? So I know that I'm meant to learn some pretty big lessons. So it makes perfect sense that I'm going to be pulled through some pretty traumatic circumstances. I had to not only crash, I had to be at the top.
But not anymore. We're done with all those kinds of lessons.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We're all holding hands now and going, okay, we got those and we don't need any more. And now we're going to show people how to manifest everything they want instead of a bunch of stuff they don't want. Because all four of us have had so much trauma, drama, but we've tried really hard to be responsible in those, and as far back as childhood, because I know all about you guys in your childhood and various things that happen. And we, all four of us, are like, well, that didn't feel good. All right, now I'm going to go fix it, and we,
Or fix somebody else.
well,
Can't we just help you? We're going to help you because we're going to be fixers. So we're not, yeah, that's all over.
none of us have gotten hardened hearts or like
Mhm.
spiteful or resentful.
Bigger hearts.
Every
right?
time Deborah had something on Facebook or something the other day, and she said it was, this really cute little girl or meme or something. All the blood had spurted out of her heart, and so she's picking it back up and putting it back in, and then something came and smashed it. And the thing is that all of us are such faith believers that we believe in the power of love. And we believe that we're supposed to be loved, period. I mean, I think all of us have said, I'm just in love with love. I can't, like, I'm a sap for love. I love little dogs, and I love little kids, and then I love old people. And then, and the thing is that I had to decide myself a few years ago, like, I am a sap for love. I just love love. And and then as I've gotten to know you guys, you're the same. It's like you just want everybody to be happy. You want to have a party. You want to be in love. You want to hug people. And we're all like that. And I think the world has been taught to not allow people to be little butterflies of happiness. The world has said, no, you're not good enough like that. And so it's beating us up. And for whatever reason, I know we were on Jesus's campfire, and I know I was alive when Jesus was alive as a person. I know it, and I know now that several of us have just been picked to show people how to manifest and not have to go through so much difficulty in order to have that happen, because I think we may have taken a lot of the brunt for people that we are trying to help. Not completely unlike Jesus himself. Jesus put himself through a really tough thing, and people started talking. I mean, they didn't have social media back then, and yet everybody knows who Jesus is today, and what happened in those days. And I think all of us, we all have our famous parts that, our resumes stand alone. And I think that people now, they look at us and they go, well, maybe I could do what they do, or maybe I could have some little thing of what they have. And we want that. We want those on our retreats. We want those on our daily existence. We want to be, I keep saying this, but that's the truth. We want to be the orgasm in Harry Met Sally. We want people to order what we've got and not have to go through so much trauma, but learn from standing on the shoulders of people who've been there and not repeat it.
Trish, I heard a song the other day, and I think I sent it to you guys or something, but it was called Masterpiece by Danny Gopi. And I just started crying in the car because it talked about all of the trials and the brokenness and the tribulations. And he said, he's making you a masterpiece. And I'm all, that's why I've been through it. And I have become a masterpiece of God. And I feel that way, but I didn't feel that way 10 years ago or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago and back. There's been things that happened, but he's making a masterpiece. And actually God sent Jesus to have the human experience. So he experienced everything that we experience. And that was purposeful, obviously, but I believe exactly that it's this metamorphosis that we've all four been through and came to a place where we are now, but we've been made masterpieces, and now we have a huge responsibility. We have a huge responsibility to spread the love that we have become.
Well, I think, Jack Canfield is writing this book right now. It should be almost about done, and it's about love versus fear. And we have we have shown the masterpiece of 100% belief and focus on love. And no matter how many people have poked it out of our eyes and out of our heart or whatever, we just put the blood back in and then we show up again. And we just keep on doing it and keep on doing it. You know, you saying masterpiece makes me think about this. I'm going to move my computer and just show you guys because it's just making me think. So this masterpiece right here is an oil of Jesus, and it's an original copy of the most expensive painting that was ever sold, and I think the Saudi Arabian prince owns it. But this is a masterpiece that was hidden, and oh gosh, I'm forgetting who painted it originally. Who painted Venus de Milo?
We can't hear you very good, Trish. So
Who painted Mona Lisa?
yeah.
Da Vinci.
Oh,
Da Vinci. Okay, so this is a Da Vinci painting.
Was it? Yeah, I guess you're
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, he kind of looks like Mona Lisa. But anyway, it's a Da Vinci painting. And this is a painting that he got in a dream that Jesus said to paint him like this. And it's quite unusual because the church destroyed a lot of mystical information all the way across churches, China and everything else. But he's holding a crystal ball, and it has the star seeds of Sirius right here, 1, 2, 3. And then he's got a known Buddhist symbol pointing up. And also, these are love symbols. But I had somebody in China paint this from a picture. So it's another original oil, but it's not the original oil. But I think that masterpiece, think about it, that picture depicted of Jesus was only found a few years ago. So we have all of these teachings of Jesus that we know, right? And then all of a sudden, this painting comes in that no one had any idea of, and it's got some symbolism in there not known to Christianity as we know it. And I think Jesus and each of us kind of prove that, you know, God's in charge, and that God's got our back, and that it's all going to be okay if we just keep on doing it and put one foot in front of the other. It's all going to be okay. It's all for our highest purpose. And whatever doesn't feel great, you know, I said this to Deborah out of the blue the other day. She was struggling with something, and I said, and I'm just so glad that this came through me. It wasn't me saying it. It was some, you know, God presence said something out of my mouth, and now it's becoming a theme. And I said, well, Deborah, you're feeling really bad right now. So let's just sit here 1 minute, say a prayer, and would you have rather not ever known this person so that you wouldn't feel like this? And she said, absolutely not. Part of why I feel like this is I felt so incredible. And I think we all signed up to say, this is what I saw 2 weeks ago, that we were all 50-foot angels. And we said, we want to feel the emotion that goes on in the earth, and we'll go down there and help. But we're going to sign up to feel every emotion. And God basically said, are you sure? Because you're going to put yourself through quite a filter. Oh, no, we want to. And so I saw us as 50-foot angels with our big wings, with DNA strands squishing us down so that we would be the size of humans, with DNA around us. And then we were sent down a chute down into the earth. And the earth was not ready to have people that were so kind and good and loving to come. because the way people have been trained is like, there's nobody that good. They're not going to love you forever. They're, beat them up. They're, and so we've just been tenaciously going, no, I'm really an angel. And I don't care if I have to feel like this. I'm just going to keep on going because it really is good. And so I think we're all there.
Well, that's all we know how to do. I mean, that's our MO.
Yeah.
Is we can't
Guys,
help ourselves,
I want to just say, I'm sorry to be the bearer of news. It's not bad news or good news. It's unemotional news. We do need to wrap up because we're going to head over to Clubhouse, FAC Friday Afternoon Club, CodPast. And Ellie, it has just been phenomenal. I wish
Ellie, do you have that link, or you've been on Clubhouse before? You know how to get on our Clubhouse.
Yeah, I should be able to get on there pretty quick. I wanted to show you guys one more visual aid. I was trying to figure out a better way to show it. So if either of you can screen share, I think I texted Trish and Deb really quickly. We're just talking about the art, the masterpiece. And I just made this graphic the other day, so I'll show it to you.
So do you want me to make you screen share? I mean, what are you
a co-host so she can screen share.
And it'll take 10 seconds. I just wanted to show you guys real quick. So I'll have it pulled up when you're ready.
It's ready.
Okay, share screen. So this is in regards to the masterpiece. This was my Facebook cover photo until a few days ago when I changed it. Okay, that's fine. Share sound. Can you see that?
Yes.
So she never seemed shattered. To me, she was a breathtaking mosaic of the battles she's won.
Wow, I like that.
I made this image.
I like that a lot.
And so I just wanted to share that with you because it was a visual thing. Then we can pop over to the Clubhouse, but I just wanted to
share that on our CodPast page. I just shared the masterpiece song on there.
It's
interesting.
interesting.
I'll try to find our little.
I'm living in a place called the Mosaic District, so
of course you are.
And,
of course you are.
And we're going to talk on Clubhouse about the fact that you have a tsunami T-shirt on. There's a story
that's a whole other story too.
With Laura.
I got stories for days. This was
Laura.
A visual.
All right.
Also, I want to. I've already thanked you, so I've done that. But also, I want we'll bait our audience for Clubhouse with your potential ghost or UFO story. So everybody head on over to
just 1 minute, you guys. I have to actually schedule it. So just hang in here with me, talk amongst yourselves, help me.
So audience, we are going over to Clubhouse. You go to the app of Clubhouse and we are called FAC CodPast. So FAC stands for Friday Afternoon Club. So you'll see FAC CodPast. That's what you're looking for. And we're going to go over there in just a minute. But I love this so much, Ellie. It's really, it really says a lot. It says a lot.
So sweet. Thank you.
And Trish, if you can.
I'm so sweet. I'm so sweet.
No, you are. You're so sweet. And one of my little mantras, this is when I'm kind of feeling badass, is people ask if I'm ready and I say I was born ready. So today I proved when I'm like, I'll share this funny thing because I woke up this morning, I'm like, holy crap, I'm still flying off a convention last week. It has been like balls to the wall all for like 2 weeks straight. I'm like, there's no way they're crazy enough to pull off the CodPast today. So I'm so smart. I texted you ladies. I was like, hey, you did the podcast today? And I was like, haha, they're going to say no. It's like, yeah, can you be our guest? I'm like, I was right in now.
It was perfect.
So I was born ready, baby.
Hey,
we
Ellie,
love you so much.
Ellie,
yeah, baby,
are you in Clubhouse?
I'll pop in right now.
No, what's your name in Clubhouse? I just am trying to invite you. So the Clubhouse room is open now.
So I'm under at Ellie Meadows. But I'm going to come find you.
I'm in there.
Am
All
I
right,
in
I'll
there
see
now?
you guys over there.
We're echoing like the fifth
Yeah, we're
dimension.
echoing.
Bye, everybody.